Hi class, and our first lesson in Module 4 is going to be going over the rules of exponents. There are 3 different rules that we'll be looking at, which is your power rule, your product rule, and your quotient rule. One thing is, if you are not good at memorizing rules, I will show you the long way to do it. So if you do forget, you can really go back to what the definition of an exponent is. Okay. So let's just go over a little bit of vocab first. So your base. So that is the bigger number, and that is being what is multiplied. So in this case, my base is 2. One second, I forgot to turn my pen on. So my base here is 2. So the base is 2. That's what's being multiplied. Your exponent is what is this little power here. So you can either call it an exponent or you can call it a power. It means the same thing, and what it does is it tells you how many times to multiply the base by. And again, power, like I said, another name for the exponent. Okay, how you say something. So again, 2 to the 4th, that means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 16. So you're taking 2, that's what's being multiplied 4 times, because that tells you how many times to multiply that number. So these are just some ways to say this. So x squared, or x to the 2nd power, x cubed, x to the 3rd power. Anything after that, we just say it x to the whatever power. So anything above 3, that is what we just do. Okay, so let's take a little bit more closer look. So what we're going to do is we're going to eventually show you the product rule. Okay, but let's see where it comes from. Okay, so I have 3 to the 5th times 3 to the squared. So 3 to the 5th, remember that means 3, the base is 3, my exponent is 5, so I'm taking 3 times itself 5 times. Okay, now I have 3 squared. Well, that means I'm taking 3 times itself 2 times. Well, let's drop the parentheses, because remember parentheses just mean exponents. So that's 3 times 3 times 3. You're going to get the point here. Okay, so now I want to simplify this. Well, how many 3's do I have? Well, if I count, I have 7 3's. So I'm multiplying 3 by itself 7 times. So that is 3 to the 7th. Now, what I did right here, that's doing it the long way. So you can write out all those steps, simplify it, and then combine and see it. Or you can just jump to this right here. So remember, look, we took 3 to the 5th times 3 squared, or 3 to the 2nd. And we got 3 to the 7th. Let's see if we notice something. 5 and 2. Well, what do 5 and 2? How do we get to 7? You add them. Okay, so this is called your product rule. And if they have the same base, so x to the a times x to the b, where a and b are just numbers, it's equal to x to the a plus b. So what you're doing is you're just adding the exponents. So again, you can do it the long way, or you can apply the shortcut. Okay, let's see how nice this shortcut works. So I have 10 squared times 10 to the 4th times, now it just says 10, so if you want, you can put a little 1 here, 10 to the 1. Well, they all have the same base, which is 10. So we have being multiplied 2, 4, and 1. So 2 plus 4 plus 1 is 7. Again, I could have wrote that out just like I did here. But the one thing nice is, what if I had something like x to the 121 times x to the 1,000 times x to the 3rd? I am not going to want to write out x 1,000 times, let alone even 121 times. I think we all have better things to do. So that's why it helps really well. So it's 1,124, where you just add the exponents. Okay, so again with exponents, so when you are multiplying the same base, you add their exponents. Okay, so let's go ahead and explore our other one. Okay, so again, and this one tends to get people a little bit more. So I have 2 to the 5th times, or divided by 2 squared. So again, let's look at it. 2 to the 5th means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And 2 squared means 2 times 2. Well, remember, if you have something the same on top and bottom with a fraction, you can cancel those out. So let's say this cancels, this cancels. Well, what do we have left? Well, on top we have 3 2's. We're multiplying that. The bottom cancels out, so that's just 2 cubed over 1, which is just equal to 2 cubed, or 2 to the 3rd power. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Let's see how we can develop our rule. Let's do it again. So I have 2 cubed, so 2 times 2 times 2 on top. 2 to the 6, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and we got one more. Same idea. Those cross out. Okay, well, there's nothing left on top. So just like there's nothing left on bottom here, I'm going to have that placeholder of 1. I have 3 2's being multiplied on the bottom, so that's 1 over t cubed. Now, this is also the same thing as 2 to the negative 3. So you can bring an exponent up. So it's not in the denominator. So if you bring it up to the numerator, you change the sign of the exponent. Okay, so 1 over 2 cubed is the same thing as 2 to the negative 3. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, so I have 2 to the 6 over 3 cubed. Okay, again, we're not sure. So some of you maybe have got the rule already, but let's check it out. So I have 2 times 2. We're just going to go ahead and do this. And again, this is just really helpful. If you don't like to memorize the rules, just write it out by hand. And then you can see what happens. Because again, you're going to get the same answer either way. So these cancel, those cancel. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 2's left on top. I don't have any 3's left on top, but I do have 2 left on the bottom. So that's 2 to the 4th over 3 squared. Again, I could also write that as 2 to the 4th times 3 to the negative 2, because I brought that 3 up. So let's look at that rule now. So remember, division is the opposite of multiplication. So let's think about when we did the product rule, when we were multiplying with the same base, we added the exponents. Well, now we're dividing the same base. So because in division is the opposite of multiplication, what is the opposite of addition? Subtraction. So if you look here, I have 5 minus 2, which is 3. 3 minus 6, negative 3. 6 minus 2 is 4. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. So how you can kind of look at your quotient rule is when you're dividing with the same base, you're going to go ahead and you're going to subtract your exponents. Okay? Here is just a different way to write it. So if A is greater than B, so if it's top heavy, just subtract them and you're going to get something in the numerator. If B is greater than A, so if it's bottom heavy, then you want to write it as a fraction, or again, you can just bring it up and write it as a negative exponent. Either it works, they're both the same thing. Okay. So these are our 2 rules. So you have your product of powers rule. So again, you're just multiplying there, and your quotient of powers rules, that's where you go ahead and divide. So let's do a little practice with this one. So I have x cubed. If you want to, you can write it. X to the a times x to the b means we are adding. And then our quotient rule, x to the a over x to the b, we are subtracting. Well, we're multiplying, so that means I'm going to go ahead and add my exponents. 3 plus 6 is 9, so that's x to the 9th. Well, we're multiplying again. So m is my base. 2 plus 5 plus 1 is 8. That's a bad 9. Okay. Now here we have a little bit more variables. So what I like to do when I'm first learning something, I'm going to put these together. So I have f squared times f cubed. I'm going to put the f's together. Then I'm going to put the g's together. G cubed times g to the 5th. Now because this is multiplication, the order doesn't matter. So you can rearrange the order just like I did here. Okay, so now the f's have the same base, so then we add their exponents. So 2 plus 3 is 5. The g's have the same base. 3 plus 5 is 8. So g to the 8th. So this right here is my answer. Now, you will have to know this, especially the rest of this unit, because we're going to talk about multiplying polynomials, and then we're also looking at factoring. So understanding these rules, especially the power rule, is going to be very key for the rest of this module. Okay, let's do a little bit more practice here. So we're using the product rule. I have the same base, so again, we're going to add 8 plus 5 is 13. If you want to, put a little implied 1, so the k's are the base. 2 plus 8 plus 1 is 11. Okay, so now here's a little bit different. We have numbers and we have letters. So again, the parentheses multiplication, I'm going to put stuff together. So I have 5 times negative 2. And then I have c to the 12th, c cubed. Again, everything means multiplication. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. We're multiplying the bases, which means we add the exponents, so that is c to the 15th. Again, if you're not good at the rules, you can always write them out and see how many you have. Okay, so this is a little bit longer one. So again, first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to regroup everything. So I have negative 3 times 7 times negative 2. And then I have an e to the 9th. And then I have g squared, a g, and g to the 4th. And for the last one, I have an h to the 8th, and an h cubed. So again, I like to color code it so I can see everything. I put everything together so I know what to multiply together. So now what we'll do is we'll just put everything together. Negative 3 times 7 is negative 21, and negative 21 times negative 2 is 42. Well, there's only one e, so that's just going to stay e to the 9th. And again, if you need to, put that 1 there. G to squared times g to the 4th. Again, how many g's do we have? Well, we have 2 plus 1 plus 4, so that is g to the 7th. And then I have h times h to the 8th times h cubed. Sorry about that. Okay, and then so let's add them. So I have 1 plus 8 is 9, 9 plus 3 is 12, so h to the 12th. And this is my answer. So again, nice little rule here with that product rule. So again, when you're multiplying the bases, you are going to add the exponents. And remember, multiplying numbers just means you multiply the numbers as normal. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at some division. So I have z to the 8th over z to the 5th. Remember, when you're dividing, you are subtracting. So I'm taking 8 minus 5. 8 minus 5 is 3, so it's z cubed. Okay, so here I have t, and I have 4 minus 6. Well, 4 minus 6 is negative 2. So sometimes your answers, they don't like to use negative exponents. That's just something they do up until Algebra 2. After that, we always just keep negative exponents because really it's just an extra step that you don't have to do. But just in case your quiz has, doesn't have negative answers, remember this is the same thing as 1 over t squared. If that confuses you, okay, I know from going from here to here does get a lot of people. Remember thinking about it, what it actually means. T to the 4th means you're taking t times itself 4 times. T to the 6th means you're taking it times itself 6 times. Okay, these cancel. Oops, one more. Okay, I have nothing left on top, but we got to have that placeholder, so I leave a 1, and I have 2 t's on the bottom, so t squared. So you can see it's the exact same answer. And kind of talking about here, okay, the b value is bigger, okay? So just kind of like they had up here in the rules, if the b value is bigger, you can just rewrite it like that, 1 over b minus a. So again, another way to have looked at it then. So here's one method to do it. Here is a second way to look at it. The other way I could have done it as, because it's bottom heavy, 1 over t, and then b minus a, which is 1 over t squared. Either way, you're going to get the same answer either way you do it. So you pick the way that makes most sense to you. Okay. Whew, some more fun with this. Okay, so we're going to use the quotient rule to simplify. Okay, so again, we want to, these are nicely stacked up for us. So 4 over 8. Well, 4 over 8 as a fraction is 1 over 2. M cubed over M9. Okay, so again, think about this. It's bottom heavy, which means we have 1 over M, B minus, wrote the answer, A, which is 1 over M to the 6. So this M is on the bottom. And then I have, it's top heavy, so then it's 7 minus 3, which is 4. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite my answer a little bit. So that's the same thing as n to the 4th over 2m to the 6th, because this is how your answer is going to actually look. And again, 1 times anything is just anything, so that's why that 1 went away. Okay. So again, we're going to do the same thing. It's bottom heavy, so 7 minus 3, the a's are going to go to the bottom. 7 minus 3 is 4. Same thing with the b's. I have 1 minus 5, or think about it as 5 minus 1, so b to the 4th. Again, it's bottom heavy, so it goes to the bottom. When it's bottom heavy, it stays on the bottom. Top heavy, it stays on the top. So c's 9 minus 4 is 5, so that is c to the 5th. So let's look at this one. So a little bit more complicated. Now here you can kind of look at it a couple different ways. I always checked in the parentheses first if anything can be simplified. In this case, it cannot. So again, we're just going to, parentheses mean multiplication, so we're just going to drop the parentheses and put everything together. So I have 4m cubed, n to the 7th, n to the 4th, and then we're going to bring the negative 12 out, p to the 8th times m times p squared. Now again, I'm going to look, okay, so on the top I see, so this is a combination, okay, so I see right here I have these n's to simplify, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I don't have anything else to do on top, so I'm just bringing it down. N to the 7th times n to the 4th is n to the 11th. Okay, let's go down to the bottom. So I have the negative 12. I don't have any other numbers. Well, now I'm noticing I have a p to the 8th and a p squared. So again, I'm multiplying that, which means we add their exponents. So that's p to the 10th. And then we just have the m. So I took care of the multiplication first. Now we're going to go ahead and go to division. Okay, so 4 over negative 12. So that's 1 over negative 3. M cubed over m, so it's top heavy, so 3 minus 1 is 2. And then we have n to the 11th and p to the 10th on the bottom. Okay, there's nothing else we can simplify. And just so you know, another way to write this would be negative, because a lot of times you have a positive divided by negative, so that is a negative. And then again, I'm just going to rewrite this. So that's m squared over n to the 11th over 3p to the 10th. Let me just bring the negative out. And this right here is my answer. Okay, one more example. Okay, so again, I'm going to check the parentheses. I can't combine anything, so we're just going to put everything together. K12, M6, K2, L9 over L3, M10. So first thing I'm going to do is do the product rule. Well, I see K12 times K2. So again, I'm going to add those exponents. That gives me K to the 14th. There's not any M's on top or L, so just M6, L9. On the bottom, there's nothing I can do, so that's just L cubed M10. Okay, so now we're going to look for division. Well, K is going to stay just as it is because there's no other K's on the bottom. Let's look at the M's. So M to the 6th divided by M 10th, so it is bottom heavy, so the M's go on the bottom. 10 minus 6 is 4. Now let's look at the L's. L9 divided by L3, so that's top heavy. So it goes on top. 9 minus 3 is 6. Okay. So those are your 2 rules there with your exponents. There is one other rule that you might look at, which is your power rule. So that's just an exponent to an exponent. So I just want to show you really fast what that is. If you have x to the a to the b power, what you're doing here is now you multiply. So for example, okay, let's say I had x to the 4th cubed. Remember, if you think about that, what that means is I'm taking x to the 4th times itself 3 times. Well, now we're back in that product rule. So what do you do with the product rule? You add 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12, x to the 12th. Or you could look at it as x times 4 times 3, which gives you x to the 12th. Okay, so if you have a power to a power, that means you want to multiply your exponents. Okay, and then just a side thing too, if there's a number in there, let's say it's 3. So I have 3, let's go a squared b to the 4th to the 4th power. Okay, so again, that's going to be 3. Some people want to do 3 times 4, and that will definitely show up as your quiz. It's 3 to the 4th. Now we multiply a times a squared to the 4th. Oops, I did not mean to put a equal sign there. 2 times 4 is 8, so a to the 8th. And then b to the 4th to the 4th power. 4 times 4 is 16. And then 3 to the 4th is 81, so 81, a to the 8th, b to the 16th. Okay, again, if you have any questions on exponents, make sure you reach out.